Hey guys, it's Andy here, and we're back looking at brews in Standard. This is a Dimir tempo deck that I put together for you guys. Not to be confused with the mono blue version of this. In the mono blue version, you'll find a lot of utility pieces and a lot of draw card, kind of unblockable creatures and or creatures with evasion that get through, get in for damage, and more often than not draw your cards. This plays a little bit more control-y, but it's still kind of like an anti-tempo. So I'm just going to touch on the main board here, talk about the sideboard, interactions between, and hopefully you guys enjoy the video. So to start with the lineup, we're running a 4 of Hostage Taker. Hostage Taker is for 4, 2, a blue, and a black. It's a 2/3 human pirate. With when it enters the battlefield, you can exile target artifact or creature until it leaves the battlefield. You may cast that card for as long as it remains exiled, and you may spend mana result or any color to cast that spell. So if we can play this on curve, we're hitting 1, 2, or 3 drop, but if we can draw this into the mid to late game, we could be exiling their bomb threat and then playing it back against them. It's an insanely good value piece in the deck, and it's just awesome. Crazily good card. The next card we're running in a 4 of is the 4 of Thief of Sanity. At 3 costs for 1, a blue, and a black. It's a 2/2 Spectre with flying. And whenever Thief of Sanity deals combat damage to a player, you look at the top 3 cards of that player's library. You exile one of them face down, put the rest into their graveyard, and for as long as the card remains exiled, you may look at it, you may cast it, and you may spend mana result or any color to cast that spell. So you can see the kind of doubling up effect that we have here with the exiling cards and playing them, but the Thief of Sanities is even better because for as long as that card remains exiled, you may look at it and you can cast it. So being able to swing in the fairly early game and just remove their big bomb threats from their deck, and then play them later. Crazily good. One of the fun new cards that come out with the Ravnica Legion set is the 4 of Terramander, which is for 1 blue, it's a 1/1 Salamander Drake with flying, and it also has for 8, adapt 4. Now that would be a really steep price, but it also costs 1 less to activate for each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard. Because we are running a 4 of this, we don't want to be running too many creatures because we want to have that as cheap as possible. This is more often than not going to be the win con in the deck, and it coming in as a 1 cost 5/5 beta is insanely good value. This card's pretty busted, especially in a fairly controlled shell. The last of the creatures and also the top end of the curve, we're running 2 copies of Dream Eater, which is for 6, so 4 and 2 blue. It's a 4/3 Nightmare Sphinx with flash and flying, so it can be played at any time. But whenever it enters the battlefield, you surveil 4, and then when you do, you may return target non-land permanent and opponent controls to its owner's hand. So just played their bomb threat. On their end step, we play Dream Eater, bounce it back to their hand, then we get a turn, we can swing in with a big flyer. Presumably we've already got a Terramander out, it's a 5/5, just swinging in for crazy amounts of damage. Just this running theme of denying your opponent tempo is the whole ambition of the deck, is I play a card, okay, you can have it back in your hand now. Or I play a card, no, it's countered. Or instead of them getting into play the card, you're making them discard it. It's just crazy. 2 copies of Blink of an Eye, which is for 2. At instant speed, it's also got Kicker 2, so you can return a non-land permanent to its owner's hand. If the spell is kicked, draw a card. So at a 4 cost, you can bounce something back to their hand, and we draw a card. That's the kind of situation we want to be playing it in, because we want to be 2-for-1ing every time we play a card. We want to be getting value out of everything that we do, and Blink of an Eye is a perfect card for that. A single copy of Ritual of Soot in the main board here, which is for 4, 2, and 2 black. At sorcery speed, you destroy all creatures with Converter Mana cost 3 or less. Now, that does hit our Terramanders and our Thief of Sanities, but presumably we're going into the mid to late game and they've answered those, and we've got stuff like Hostage Takers, or we might have a single Dream Eater out, and then we're just wiping away a lot of the other small creatures. The great against Red Rush, great against Mono White, it's great against the Boros decks. All these decks that are running really low curved creatures, Ritual is just an absolute blowout. It's great. Just touching on the counter magic that I mentioned before, we're running 4 copies of Sinister Sabotage, which is for 3, so 1 and 2 blue. At instant speed, you counter target spell, and you can surveil 1. So you can look at the top card, and you may put that card in your graveyard if you want to. It's a great card, it's a good counter spell. 4 copies of Thought Erasure, which is for 2, so blue and a black. At sorcery speed, target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it, and that player discards that card. Surveil 1. Denying our opponent the thing that they could be playing in the next turn, or the removal piece that they had to answer the creatures that we've got, or the big bomb threats. That's what the card's in there for. It's just a great piece for it. The Surveil, another thing that's useful in the deck. Filtering cut stuff off the top if we don't need it. It's just great. On the draw card side of stuff, but it's also a 2-for-1 because we are scrying. It's opt in a 4 of, for 1 blue at instant speed. You scry 1 and then you draw a card. So again, being able to filter off the top, drawing the next card, awesome. More filtering, and it's like a 2-for-1, or if we want to pay the mana, we can do something else with it. is the Discovery to Dispersal. So Discovery is for 2, 1, and a hybrid, blue or black. At sorcery speed, you surveil 2 and then draw a card. And then Dispersal is for 5, so 3, a blue, and a black. At instant speed, each opponent returns a non-land permanent they control with the highest converted mana cost back to their hand, and then they discard a card. So if the last card they play out is like a Carnage Tyrant, we're not targeting it, we're targeting them. And then if it's the highest converted mana cost on their board, they've got to bounce it back to their hand. It's a great way to answer big bomb threats like that. A lot of the times, if it's something they're playing in the mid to late game and they've top decked the answer, they're like, I finally got a Lyra, or I finally got a whatever. Just bouncing it back to their hand and having them have to discard it because they might only have one card left. It's a great piece with a lot of diversity. It's good. Running a little bit of removal in the form of free Vraska's Contempt, which is for 4, 2, and 2 black. At instant speed, you exile target creature or planeswalker and you gain 2 life. And we're running 2 Cast Downs, which is for 2, 1, and a black. At instant speed, you destroy target non-legendary creature. Just great removal overall. Being able to kill planeswalkers is always going to be something useful, and really cheap instant speed removal is always great. Touching on the land base here, we're running 6 islands, 5 swamps, 4 copies of Drowned Catacombs, which comes in tapped unless you control an island or a swamp, tapped for blue or black. 4 copies of Watery Grave, which is an island swamp, comes in tapped unless you pay 2 life. 2 copies of Memorial to Folly, just for a little bit of graveyard recursion. So Memorial comes in tapped, and then it's tap add black or pay 3, 2 and a black, to tap Sacrifice Memorial and return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. That can get us our Clutch Hostage Takers, or get back our Dream Eaters, or Terramanders if that's what we need. It's just a really useful card to have in the deck. You could probably bump it up to even more copies of it, but 2 is what I've been running it with, and it's been working really well, so I've left it at 2. And the last of the land is the 2 copies of Memorial to Genius, which is the blue version of that cycle of lands. So it comes in tapped, it's a tap add blue, but it's also got pay 5, tap Sacrifice Memorial to Genius, draw 2 cards. Instant speed draw card, always going to be good. It's on a land, we're running 23 of them in the deck. A lot of people might say that's a little low. You could probably run more, I'm not sure what you'd cut for it. Maybe a counterspell or a hostage taker or something. But yeah, the deck's been working fine the way it is at the moment. Hell of a lot of fun. The whole anti-tempo theme is just great. And adding insult to injury just by playing back their cards at them and using a lot of their stuff against them is always going to be fun. Touching on the sideboard here, we can see this is where I'm running another copy of Ritual of Soot, 3 copies of Duress, which is usually for the control matchups. So it's for 1 black. At sorcery speed, target opponent reveals their hand. You choose a non-creature, non-land card from it, and that player discards that card. Sorcerer's Spyglass in here for the Planeswalker matchups. At a 2 cost, it sits on the battlefield, and then when it enters the battlefield, you look at target player's hand and choose a card name. Activated abilities of the sources with the chosen name can't be activated unless they're mana abilities. So Planeswalkers can't use their abilities at all. It's great. Some counter magic in the form of 2 copies of Negate. At a 2 cost, instant speed, just counter target non-creature spell. 2 copies of Spell Pierce, which is for 1 blue. At instant speed, you counter target non-creature spell unless its controller pays 2. 2 copies of Essence Scatter for the creature matchups, so it's at a 2 cost for 1 and a blue. At instant speed, you counter target creature spell. And 2 copies of Moment of Craving, which is for 2. At instant speed, target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn, and you gain 2 life. And that is the sideboard, and that is Dimir Tempo in Standard. Thanks for watching, guys. As always, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to see new videos as they were released. If you like what I do and you want to support the channel, you can throw me $1 on my Patreon at patreon.com/SandersQuest. And I will see you guys in the next video. Keep questing, guys.